Hey guys, in this video I'll be covering some details about the drum parts for our song Axis Mundi, which is the first official single from the Portraits debut album. Portraits is myself on the drums and Ben Slack from the UK on the guitars and the bass and the vocals and everything else. The album will be released in the next few weeks. We've already released this single, which is now on iTunes. You can get it there. And Ben and I have already put together an audio diary which goes into a pretty lengthy detail about the concepts behind the song. So I'll put a link in the description to that if you want to get more information. But I just wanted to give you a little bit of background about the song without getting into too much detail so that you know where I'm coming from with regard to some of the concepts and the structural elements behind the song. So the song is dealing with a set of numbers. The numbers were held sacred by Native Americans and Asians in not so modern times and even stretching back into prehistory. And the numbers are 4, 7, and 13. We wanted to address sort of the pre-science conception of the universe and how people ordered their universe with numbers, and this was sort of a form of early mathematics, a more spiritual form of mathematics than we conceive of today, but we thought it was important to cover that. So we used these numbers as sort of linchpins throughout the structure of the song. Even lyrically, we divide the song into 4 parts. Structurally, the song is heavily reliant on 7/4 time signature. So 7/4, 7/8. There are also a few bars of 4/4, as well as others, but primarily 7. And the song starts, the introduction to the song starts in 7/4 meter. And Ben is playing on the guitar sort of these short staccato triplets. And under that, on the drums, I'm playing a cross rhythm of sorts. So let's break down the drums in that introduction. So the kick drum in the introduction follows a pattern of playing 3/16 notes followed by a rest. And this pattern repeats itself every quarter note. So if we're counting 7/4, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3. Over that kick drum pattern, we get accents played only on the toms. I'm not playing the snare on this introduction. So the accents are played in a triplet pattern, and the orchestration is pretty simple on this. It's mostly alternates between tom 2 and the floor tom. I also throw in a tom 1 accent with those. And I'm playing simultaneous strokes on these accents. And the accents fall on 1, the of 1, and the and of 2. And then this pattern repeats itself, falling on 4, the of 4, and the and of 5. And then finally there is a final accent on 7 to complete the bar. And then the pattern repeats itself. But the last accent in each group of 3 is a flam tap. So instead of simultaneous strokes, I hit a flam and then a tap on the next 16th note with my left hand. So if we were to play just the tom accents without the underlying kick, it would sound like this. 6, 7. Now, when you add the kick drum beneath the tom accents, it gets tricky because there's a cross rhythm there. So while the kick drum is playing sets of 3/16 notes, the tom accents fall on the first kick in the first set, then on a rest, then on the last kick at the second set, and then the process repeats itself beginning with the 4th set of kicks. And then the last accent on the toms falls on the first kick at the last and the 7th sequence of 3. So let's hear how this sounds on the kit. After the introduction, the song enters into about 4 minutes of verses, which are in 7/4 time signature with a few bars of 4/4 thrown in until that 4-minute mark where we enter the first main chorus. And that chorus begins a sequence of time signatures that fluctuate between 6/4 and 4/4. But these first 4 minutes within those verses, the drums follow a really heavily syncopated series of accents only on the toms and the kick drum. The goal here was to go for this tribal feel to help the storyline about this American Indian coming of age and eventually going on his vision quest. And I wanted to create a drum part that wasn't typical for modern music here. Typical in the sense of playing something, a groove on the hi-hat and the snare and the kick. So I'm just using the toms and the kick here. And as I mentioned in the audio diary, Ben and I went back and forth and shared some audio files of American Indians singing powwows or war chants. These were mostly Plains Indian tribes, and they have a distinctive singing style. But we were interested in capturing the way the singers flowed through various states of emotion. They ascended and descended in these emotions, and we wanted to borrow that idea and try to mold our music to capture that. So the drumming in these Native American songs is very, very simple. It typically follows a 4/4 meter and with accents on the 1 typically, sometimes on the 2 and the 4. So 1 2 3 4, 1 2 3 4, 1 2 3 4, 1 2 3 4, 1 2 3 4, 1 2 3 4. I wanted to add a little complexity to that, and plus we're working within a 7/4 time signature. But I wanted to retain that simplicity and make it repetitive enough to retain this element of sort of trance-like tribalism. So let's look at how this is actually played on the kit. So what I'm essentially playing here over a 7/4 meter is a series of accents on the toms. It begins with a single accent followed by a pair of accents. And what that sounds like just on the toms with just the accent over a 7/4 bar is like this. 5, 6, 7. Now what I used here was a variation of some obscure traditional music from Thailand that I found. Which is relevant to this song because it still falls within that Asian/New World grouping of people. So most Thai music uses a simple double meter and 4/4 time, but there is a tradition of Thai music that stretches at least as far back as the medieval period, which uses a 7/4 time signature. Now they use little symbols in these songs for the accents, and the accents fall on 1, 3, 5, and 6. So if we were to transfer those accents to the toms instead of symbols, it would sound like this. 5, 6, 7. Now the dynamics in our song are a bit more complex than this, but they borrow from this Thai tradition and have a similar feel. Now the orchestration of the beat's very simple. I'm simply playing it on the kick drum, and my left hand stays on the second rack tom. My right hand stays on the floor tom. To freshen up the orchestration so that it doesn't start sounding monotonous, I used a variation of a rudiment called alternating Swiss Army triplets. Now a Swiss Army triplet is a very simple rudiment. It's simply flam, right, left, flam, right, left. Alternating Swiss Army triplets are just flam, right, left, flam, left, right, flam, right, left, flam, left, right. So I'm using alternating Swiss Army triplets, which are groups of 3, and then I'm adding 2 notes on the end of that to get a note grouping of 5 notes. And since they are alternating, Each grouping begins and ends on opposite toms, which adds that depth that I like. So to orchestrate my variation of these 5-note alternating Swiss Army triplets on the toms, it goes flam, right, left, flam, left, right, flam, right, left, flam, left, right. But there's a little more complexity than that, because as you saw earlier, there's a single accent followed by pairs of accents. So I'm using, if you look at the note groupings, with those extra accents in the 7/4 bar, the note groupings go 5, 1, 5, 5, 1, 5. Even though the left hand is staying completely on the rack tom and the right hand is staying completely on the floor tom, and I'm using the kick to accentuate the accents, it still sounds a lot more complex in terms of orchestration than what you're getting here. Because of these alternating Swiss Army triplets, it makes it sound like I'm moving around the kit a lot more. So let's see what it sounds like all put together. Okay, so moving further into the song, the main character goes on a vision quest, and then funny things start to happen. He's visited by a spirit guide in the form of a bird who guides him through the rest of his journey. And a sacrifice is demanded of him, and he had to face down his greatest fear, which was experiencing death. So he enters into this sort of limbo in the song where his spirit is detached and he's lost and he's blind, and he's seeking entry into the upper spirit realm through the mandala or the Axis Mundi. And here the time signature shifts back to 7/4 out of the chorus 6/4/4/4 variation, so that we can reintroduce some of the elements that we used earlier in the song, such as that groove, that verse groove that we just discussed. So at this point, that's 7 minutes into the song, we go into an interlude to kind of accentuate this sense of fear and dread that he has going through his purgatory, basically. So this interlude, the instruments drop out, I stop playing the acoustic drums, and it goes into a percussional element, and the percussion was recorded on a djembe. I wanted to use the number 13 in the song somewhere to complete the sequence of 4, 7, and 13, but I didn't want to use it in the time signature because we had used 13/8 time signature in another song for separate reasons quite extensively, and that was enough of that. It's a really hard time signature to work in. It's very difficult to make it sound pleasing. So instead of using it in the time signature, I used a 13-note grouping here in the percussional interlude. Now, I like this idea of how Native Americans perceived of the number 13 as being double that of the 7 spatial elements in the terrestrial realm and the heavenly realm, which totals 14, and then they take away 1 where the person is standing, or the perspective of the viewer, to get to that number 13. In a bar of 7/8, there are 14 16th notes. Now, to be accurate, there are actually 14th notes when you change the time signature to 7/8. But if you go around saying 14th notes, people look at you funny. It's mathematically correct, but we use 16th notes here just to use common terminology. So there are 14 of these, and what I did here is, instead of playing all 14 of these notes, I took away 1 at the very end and used a rest. The rudiment I used for this interlude was the para-paradiddle, which goes right, left, right, left, right, right, left, right, left, right, left, left. So these are 6-note groupings, and I lined them up in the bar so there are 2 pair of paradiddles, one after the other, and that totals 12. So I had to add 1 note at the end of that sequence to get to that magic number 13. The dynamics are that I'm playing actually here on the electronic pads. We recorded individual hits with my hand on the djembe in the studio, and then we put these individual hits into the practice pads. There were other songs where I played live on the percussion to the song complete in the studio. This song I wanted to put them in the electronic pads. So I'm triggering 4 of the sounds that I recorded on the djembe on these pads. So we have the number 1, the doom, which is kind of an open tom sound where you slap the just off center of the djembe. I'm using Doombek terminology, but you slap just off center with your thumb and it creates that open tom sound. That's the doom. And then there's a tak, which is basically a rim shot. You slap near the edge of the drum. And then there's a muted tone where you hold your hand over the skin to mute it, and then you hit near the edge like a rim shot. And finally, there's the bass tone where you slap in the center or just off center with the fleshy part of your hand and bounce it off to get that bass tone. So those are the 4 elements I'm using for the djembe, and I'm also triggering something over here with a Roland foot pedal. It's a brass tambourine. The way these are articulated on the pads and the foot pedal is the use of these 2 sequential pair of paradiddles followed by a 1 accent note. Now the accents fall on 1, the of 1, the of 2, the e of 3, and finally on 4. This sounds a bit random, but it works out so that after the first pair of paradiddle, where you have an accent on 1 and then the of 1, all of the remaining accents in this sequence fall on the right hand, which makes it fun to play. Sounds like this at a slow speed. Let's add in a click and bring it up to speed. So after the interlude, when the singing comes back in, the main character is trying to escape this purgatory, and Ben and I enter into a phase of polyrhythms where he's playing mostly in 3/8 on the guitar and bass, and the drums are playing a sequence of time signatures where 3 bars are played in 7/8 and the 4th bar is played in 8/8, and together those 4 bars total 29 eighth notes or 58 16th notes. And Ben is, in contrast, playing in 3/8, so he plays 9 bars of 3/8, which totals 27 eighth notes. And to get to the 29 eighth notes that I'm playing in my 4 bars, he has to add on a bar of 2/8 at the end of his 9 bars. So in that sense, we're kind of playing over each other, and every 4 bars we're meeting. So the effect of all this complexity in the time signatures is that the instrumentation is detached from one another, bordering on chaotic, but every 4 measures we meet each other again. And we liked how this created kind of an uncomfortable vibe where things seem like they're on the verge of chaos or falling apart. Similar to how the main character is in this state of despair at this point in the story, and he's searching for a way out of his situation. Okay, so let's take a look at one more drum part, the build where the choir is singing just before the finale. The orchestration on this part is very simple. I'm playing only 2 floor toms. My right hand stays on the right floor tom and my left hand stays on the left floor tom. The rudiments I'm playing here are 2 parapadiddles followed by half of a paradiddle. A parapadiddle is right, left, right, left, left, right, left, right, left, left. And a paradiddle, as we know, is right, left, right, right, left, right, left, left. I'm playing 2 parapadiddles, leading with the right hand, followed by the first half of a paradiddle, so that it throws the next 2 parapadiddles to lead with the left hand. And the effect is you get this stereo sound, stereo effect of accents on the right tom, right floor tom, followed by accents on the left floor tom. And this pattern kind of bouncing back and forth between your left and your right. Let's hear how that sounds slowly on the toms, and then we'll bring it up to speed. So then we enter the finale, where the main character enters the Empyrean upper realm and receives his sacred knowledge and returns to the terrestrial world as an initiate, thus completing this 4-phase cycle of the song. Ben lays down some amazing guitar riffs and does an incredible job with the lyrics and the singing at this point, and I'd indulge myself on the drums with copious amounts of drum fills, which would take a video of equal length to describe in detail. So I'll spare all 3 of you who are probably still watching all of those details, and I'll sign off for now. Thanks for watching.